Chelsea FC have called Stamford Bridge their home for over a century, but it looks like they'll have to make some changes. The main issue with the current stadium is its capacity of around 41,000 fans, and for a team of Chelsea's calibre, that number is just too small. The owners currently have two main choices to make. One choice is to leave behind their current stadium and start building a new one, and the second is to shell out £1.5 billion, which is $1.9 billion, to rebuild Stamford Bridge itself. In order to maintain its reputation and to remain competitive at the highest level, how will Chelsea handle this challenge? Welcome to Big Builds. Let's take a look at the potential solutions and what problems the club might face along the way. Stamford Bridge is home to Chelsea Football Club, and it's also one of England's oldest football stadiums. Gus Mears leased it in 1904, and it was turned into a football stadium in 1905 when Chelsea was established. It was one of the biggest stadiums in the nation back then, with space for 100,000 spectators. Right now, the stadium has 4 main stands, and it can accommodate 40,341 people. These stands are the Matthew Harding stand, the Shed End, the West stand, and the East stand. It also includes corporate hospitality facilities and historical elements, such as the Shed Wall, which is a remnant of its earlier days. The stadium's ownership history is as colourful as the club itself, with financial struggles in the 1980s leading to a brief sale to property developers. The stadium was eventually secured as Chelsea's home when they regained ownership in the 1990s under Ken Bates. Given Stamford Bridge's comparatively small capacity in comparison to other elite clubs in Europe, Chelsea is currently looking into renovation options. Chelsea's limited seating, it has caused a bunch of issues. The two main ones are the revenue they can generate and the number of fans who can actually come around and watch matches due to the capacity. Teams like Manchester United, Arsenal and Tottenham have already invested in much larger stadiums, and Chelsea shouldn't be left behind. There are also the obvious problems caused by old structures and outdated facilities. Currently, it's pretty likely that the stadium will be expanding under the direction of Todd Boehly and company. Plans are still in the early stages, but they call for adding a little over 18,000 seats to bring the total capacity up to about 60,000. If everything works out though, Stamford Bridge would almost be on par with the Emirates Stadium capacity, which is currently Arsenal's home turf. Chelsea FC have also been discussing the option of a new stadium after the initial talks of expanding the current one. It's had quite the evolution, from a renovation to an all-new facility. Stamford Bridge also has a pretty long history, with multiple honours having been lifted there, but right now, there are also plans to demolish and completely rebuild the stadium from scratch. That sounds like a pretty extreme step to take, since they'd basically be tearing down the team's legacy, but with a profit point of view. It's also a pretty profitable option though in the long run. It would be much easier to rebuild the stadium than to just add in the new elements to the existing stadium. This is especially apparent when you look at the challenges of incorporating new developments while meeting building regulations and considering a nice aesthetic. And it's not cheap either. Estimates suggest that it would cost a staggering £1.5 billion, which again is $1.9 billion. One major issue the club would have to deal with is how long it would take to finish up either project. It would take about 5 years to rebuild Stamford Bridge, and that means no match could take place on the field during that time. So, where would they play during the construction period? To ensure the club can continue competing at the highest level, Chelsea's leadership is actively exploring temporary relocation options that balance capacity, convenience and tradition. One potential solution is a ground share with neighbouring Fulham FC at Craven Cottage. While this arrangement would keep Chelsea within its traditional Fulham borough, the venue's modest capacity of under 30,000, that poses a significant limitation. Accommodating Chelsea's large fan base and maintaining matchday revenue could prove challenging in this setting, making it a less than ideal choice. Alternatively, Chelsea could look to larger venues such as Wembley Stadium or Twickenham. Wembley can hold about 90,000 fans, and it has hosted some major football events, so it's definitely a practical option if nothing else. Twickenham, traditionally a rugby stadium, it also provides substantial seating, but it would require adjustments to accommodate the unique demands of Premier League football. However, both venues are located farther from Chelsea's heartland, potentially disrupting matchday routines for fans and diminishing the club's sense of local identity during the transition period. The logistics of temporary relocation, well, they extend far beyond venue selection. Chelsea also have to address fan travel arrangements, ticketing policies, and the impact on the matchday atmosphere. Additionally, the club is aware of the need to engage with local communities at whichever venue is chosen, so that there aren't any major disruptions due to the team's entire relocation bit. Either way, a lot of consideration must be given to where the team plays, if and when things come to that. The Stamford Bridge homecoming, well, that should be in line for 2030. In a way, the club has 3 options to consider: an extension of the stadium, a rebuild, or a brand new stadium. In all honesty though, only the last 2 options are actually viable. Based on the details in the public domain right now, we don't really know what the new Chelsea stadium might look like, but if we look at the trends other stadium builds are following, it's clear that it would likely have the same cutting-edge tech involved and a focus on transforming the experience for fans, possibly through smart stadium technology. The potential for smart stadium technology that extends to optimizing fan comfort and convenience. Artificial intelligence could play a pivotal role in managing concessions, reducing queue times by predicting peak demand, and directing fans to the shortest lines. Similarly, facial recognition systems may revolutionize stadium entry, streamlining security while providing faster access. These innovations, they're designed to make the matchday experience more smooth and enjoyable, eliminating long waits and unnecessary complications. Operationally, the stadium would employ smart technologies to improve efficiency and sustainability. Advanced crowd flow management systems could be used to monitor how the fans move around. This info, it could be used to ease any points of congestion, improving safety. Intelligent systems could dynamically modify heating, cooling, and lighting in response to current demands, and this would be great at optimizing energy usage. In order to ensure that Chelsea's new home complies with international sustainability standards and lessens its environmental impact, the venue could also incorporate sustainable design elements and renewable energy sources. The smart stadium is intended to be a flexible, year-round space outside of game days. With cutting-edge connectivity, the location could also accommodate esports competitions, corporate gatherings, and concerts, utilizing digital infrastructure to reach a wide range of audiences. Because of its many uses, the stadium would become a source of income, and it would be able to support Chelsea's long-term goals on and off the field. The club's intentions to relocate or renovate Stamford Bridge would also be greatly impacted by the influence of the Chelsea pitch owners. The Lily Bridge Depot area has been identified as a possible development site in the event that Chelsea decides to relocate from Stamford Bridge. Moving to an alternate site, well, that would require approval from at least 76% of Chelsea pitch owners, CPO shareholders. This group, it currently owns the land where the ground sits, as well as the Chelsea Football Club brand name. Any plan involving the team's relocation from Stamford Bridge, whether temporary or permanent, it'll need the CPO's approval. This fact, well, it worries some fans, who worry that if the proposal is rejected, the team will fall behind its domestic and European rivals. Chelsea also purchased a sizable chunk of land next to the existing stadium, advancing plans for a Stamford Bridge makeover. The Blues paid around £80 million, which is $102 million, to Stoll, a charity which provides housing for veterans. Purchasing a large portion of land will allow Chelsea to redevelop Stamford Bridge rather than find a new site for their home. But even though they've purchased the land, it doesn't mean that all other options are off the table. The area Chelsea bought covers 1.2 acres and would serve as a major boost to what the club can work with. The Earls Court Development Company, which is in charge of the multi-billion-pound renovation of the former Earls Court Exhibition Centre, they've stated that a new Chelsea stadium is not in their plans, according to The Athletic. Since the Earls Court Exhibition Centre was demolished in 2014, the location, it's not been used. Many people believe that Chelsea Football Club would naturally relocate to Stamford Bridge if the Blues were to leave their famous home. Now, that seems unlikely. Fan sentiment towards the redevelopment or relocation is divided. Monetization proponents see the possibility of improved matchday experiences, increased capacity to accommodate more supporters, and a higher standing among Europe's top clubs. They see a location that blends state-of-the-art architecture with amenities that are on par with or better than those of Manchester United, Arsenal, or Tottenham. In a time where the club's ability to generate income is correlated with the size of its home field, these supporters believe that advancement is essential to the team's ability to remain competitive on and off the field. On the other hand, some fans are extremely nervous about the possibility of leaving Stamford Bridge or fundamentally changing its identity. The stadium is a hallowed place for these fans, entwined with their own recollections and the club's history. Even though Earl's Court is only a mile away, the thought of moving there felt like cutting off a crucial link to Chelsea's history to make fans before the plan was basically cut out. Some are concerned that monetization may destroy the stadium's distinct intimacy and charm in favour of a cold, business-like setting. The management of Chelsea is still considering their options, and nothing is yet set in stone. They are expected to make their final decision by the end of this year. In summary, Chelsea FC faces a defining moment as they navigate the monumental decision of how to transform their home. The stakes are higher than ever, whether it's a daring plan to construct a new stadium or an ambitious renovation of Stamford Bridge. This project aims to preserve the club's history while welcoming the future, not just increase capacity or matchday revenue. For future generations, Chelsea's identity and their competitiveness will be shaped by the decisions made today. What do you think Chelsea should do? Should they rebuild the historic Stamford Bridge or aim for a modern marvel to rival Europe's best? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss an update on the world's most exciting architectural transformations. Let's keep this conversation going. Are there other projects you'd like us to explore? Drop your suggestions below. See you in the next one.